One of the central principles of my life is that no one knows enough to be a pessimist about anything. And that each and every one of us, when we close our mind to what is possible for us or what is possible for humanity, closes off the genius that resides and lives in each and every one of us.
Don't count yourself out. Don't say, I can't do that. You don't know what you cannot do if you're not willing to challenge yourself. Decide that you're going to do something about it. Don't sentence yourself to a lifetime of being miserable, a lifetime of being broke, a lifetime of being unhealthy. Don't sentence yourself like that. You are a human being. Don't volunteer your life that way. Your life has too much value to the universe. You've got something to contribute. You've got something to give.
Develop the ability to act. Take action. Not hasty if it isn't required, but don't lose much time. Here's the time to act. When the idea is hot and the emotion is strong. That's the time to act. See, Mr. Rohn, I'd like to have a library like yours. See if you feel strong about that. What you got to do is get the first book and then get the second book. Before the feeling passes and before the idea gets dim, action pronto, action immediate, action as soon as possible. Because if you don't, here's what happens. We call it the law of diminishing intent. We intend to when the idea strikes us. We intend to when the emotion is high. But now if you don't translate that into action fairly soon, now the intent starts to diminish. And a month from now it's cold. A year from now, can't be found. So act, set up a discipline when the emotions are high and the idea is strong and clear and powerful. That's the time to set up the discipline.
Character is not something we inherit. Character is something we got to wake up every single day. We got to fight it. We got to build it. Right? In the midst of adversity, in the midst of challenges, in the midst of successes, in the midst of failures, we got to get up every single day. We got to fight for peace. Right? We got to fight for happiness. We got to fight for joy.
The people in life that win play offense, not defense. Stop backing into everything. Stand up. Bow your back a little bit. Start to walk a little different. Start to be that best version of you. You need to get obsessed. You got to get relentless. You got to be a road dog. You got to get intense. You got to have a permeating attitude that you're going to win. You got to have a positive outlook. You got to be optimistic. You got to know you're going to win. You got to, right now, you got to say, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. My life is going to win. There's going to be a victorious life here. Because listen to me, the price you pay for losing here is too extreme. You have to carry the burden of failure the rest of your life.
I have a theory that I've been working on for a very long time, and what happens when I read something is I plug it into the theory. So I know the full outline of the theory. It'd probably take me 45, 50 hours to lay it out in lectures. I've done that online. But it grows and grows and grows and grows, and I know where to put everything. So if I read something, I think, oh yes, that slot's there. And so
you store it as well. If somebody asks you a question, you need to use that fact. You have it somewhere stored where you bring it in and say, okay.
But it has to be related to this work that I've been doing over time.
Got it.
It's kind of like, there's this technique called memory castle that people have used for centuries to remember things. And so what you do is you sit and you imagine might be a place that you know, like a geographic place, a house. And then you can place the things that you remember. Imagine you walk through the house. You can place the things that you want to remember at different locations in the house. But you have to turn what you're remembering into an image. And then you can walk through the house and you can lift things up and find what it is that you're trying to remember. I sort of do that with this theory. It's like it's been, I've literally worked on it it's been 40 years. And so I know the story and I know its branches, and I keep adding to it and shifting pieces around from time to time.
We all like to think that we really do flow, that we kind of move easy and we are easy, and people look at us and it's just kind of soothing to their soul to have us around. But to be honest with you, Many times we don't flow, and when we don't, it's because a surprise or something that we didn't like, and sometimes my flow doesn't go. It just kind of stops right where it is because there's something happening that it's not easy for me to move with. My father, when I was young, said, John, it's not what happens to you that counts, it's what happens in you. You're going to have a lot of things happen to you that aren't good. But if your attitude and spirit is right, you can keep going, you can keep flowing. So when we stop that flow in our life, it's almost always because something rubbed us the wrong way, something surprised us. We don't like what happened. I would just encourage you to remember my dad's advice. It's not what happens to you, it's what happens in you. The moment that you choose to do the right thing on the inside, guess what? You begin to flow.
Sticking with your good habits is extremely hard because they're boring. So whenever something is boring, it's because somebody's pursuing something that they actually don't give a shit about. And that's the problem. So for instance, eating healthy food all the time isn't thrilling in the way that, say, eating a bag of Oreos is, or black licorice, which is a personal favorite of mine, or fried food, which is truly my weakness. That stuff is fun, man. You want to talk about a dopamine cascade? I could take a random Tuesday and make it feel like a Saturday night just by deciding that I'm going to cheat on my diet. Now, I don't do that. I cheat maybe twice a year. So it is, when I say it is crazy rare, and yet my life is full of things that thrill me. And I use that word on purpose. Now, what it comes back to is going back to the whole topic of today, habits, and how you stick with them even when you're bored, even when it's not interesting anymore, long after it stopped being fun. The very secret to habits is caring about the thing that habit is meant to lead to. But for real, like really, what do you care about? And for instance, here is a life I pass no judgment on. Man, because if this is what you want, and it like you love it and you're filled with fulfillment, it's amazing, great. If you want to sit at home all day and you want to cut your life to the absolute quick financially so that you're living in a tiny hovel with 5 other people, fine. And you're eating Tina's burritos. I don't even know if they still exist, but when I was way hardcore poor, they were awesome because it was 3 for 99 cents, which was amazing. So I could live off of that, and you're cool. You boil it down to nothing. You don't have a car, no insurance, nothing, and you accept that my life is going to be shorter than it would otherwise be, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to smoke weed a lot, and I'm going to eat bad food a lot. Man, respect. Like if you do it with your eyes wide open and you're loving it and you're having a great time, the only reason that you never hear me talk about that stuff is from my experience, from what I've seen of other people, the only thing that gives the human animal the best feeling, which is to feel good about yourself when you're by yourself, is to do the hard things and to do things that bring fulfillment. And the things that bring fulfillment are often born of momentary suffering, but they allow you to get stronger in order to serve other people. That's it. That's just what I've seen. So I don't think it's better than the alternative that I just described. It's just the only thing that I've seen really lead to that sense of like deep fulfillment. So my thing about the specific part about the good habits are hard to stick with because they're boring, just you've got to attach habits to things you actually really and truly care about. No one can tell you what to care about. You can certainly build that into your life. You can take something that's an interest and build it into something you care deeply about, which I've talked endlessly about, so I won't go into it here, but that is very, very possible. Associate your habits to that thing. Suddenly the habits will be very easy. Don't judge yourself. Live your life the way you want, but respect the realities of neurochemistry.
In the business community, the number one question they're asking me right now is how to deal with millennials.
Yeah.
And you know,
Forbes magazine #2 challenge.
Yeah, and so what I say to them is this: before we deal with them, before we fix them or whatever we're going to do with them,
they don't think they need fixing.
That's exactly right. But we do.
Maybe they don't.
But we do. I share with these leaders, value them. You see, everything begins with valuing people. There are gaps, obvious age gaps, thinking gaps. But the first thing you have to do is you have to find common ground. And the common ground that I find with people is I value them, period. No strings attached. regardless of age, regardless of anything. I value them. That's kind of Jesus-like. That's what he did in the Gospels. Now, the moment that you value a millennial, you find some common ground, you can then begin to have some understanding, of which I say it's our responsibility as elders, seniors, to understand them first, instead of making sure they understand us.